That's different.
That's different.
My guests for today's podcast are Val and Tim of the Nomads Bus. They are two incredible humans and the perfect example of living a life that's different. The Nomads Bus is an American school bus turned rolling hostel, and people come from all over the world to join them and their family on epic European adventures. I was lucky enough to be one of their guests this summer as we explored the most northern tip of Norway. I hope that you enjoy this on-site, in the wild, inspiring interview. I heard that you two sometimes will let the other one run ahead, and then you'll catch up with the bus.
When we go for a jog.
Yeah. It's true, yeah. That's a new thing we discovered this summer season.
It's called time management.
It's called having two kids and still wanting to go for a run. Yeah, that's more or less like it. Yeah.
Is that how it started?
Yeah.
And the positive thing is that you can run in one direction and you don't have to do the same way back.
Yeah, but do you must have to let the other person go and then you catch up with them after.
Yeah. You calculate how long, I say for example I'm going to go for 8 kilometers. Yeah. And then we calculate how long that takes me ish, and then he is there when. And
then I wait for her when she comes, or the other way around.
Yeah,
but it works really well actually.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean it sounds fun. Yeah.
No, but we move so much, so we're always on the road, and it's sometimes difficult to find nice running tracks or streets or whatever. And then this way you can always discover something new because you're just finding new tracks all the way. Yeah. I like that.
Have a little bit of alone time as well.
And too. Yeah.
We
with a podcast or something in general.
Yeah, we like listening to podcasts, but having that moment in a day is pretty rare with 2 kids and the bus and everything. So.
Especially when we're alone, because in general we have hosts these days, so they help us out.
Any particular podcasts that you guys like to listen to when you're running?
Well, we've discovered the Tony Robbins podcast lately, and that's a super motivating. Yeah, you probably know him. It's an interesting
he's
guy.
Very popular in America.
Yeah. And he has does a lot of interviews these days with famous sports people. I jumped upon it because I saw John White, which is obviously a good snowboarder. I don't know if you know him, but so I was kind of interested in hearing what he had to say, John White then. And it was actually the way Tony talked to him and how he handled the interviews and stuff. I really liked it as well. It got me into his other stuff, and then I figured out he's a really smart guy who does have a lot of good insights in life and the way you can progress in life and be
life hacks basically.
Yeah, life hacks, but be happy and while running it even brought me to a run of 27k or more or less like that, which I never done before. But I was just listening to Tony. I was like, wow, I need to go for this, man. You're pushing me, and there's no limit to you, and it was super cool. So and I made it. It was painful because I didn't prepare really well. But I did it, and it was a good experience. Yeah. So that's the main one. But I listen to Belgian podcasts as well. Me personally, there's a one about science, like what's happening in the world. Like I don't know if you heard about CRISPR, for example. It's a technology where we can inject or change the DNA of babies before they're born.
Yeah.
And there's now already a Chinese guy who did that, and so it's more about those kind of things. Or Elon Musk, if he comes up with something new, or those kind of things. And then there's another funny one that I listen to, which is No Such Thing as a Fish, which is a British podcast, but it's about facts that are so random and so out there that they're sometimes really hard to believe, but they're true, and they make it really fun because they're 4 funny British guys with British humor, and that's also something that just switches off my mind. So those are my favorite ones for the moment, but there are so many out there. It's never ending.
Yeah, Tony Robbins is very popular by us, and I don't know if he comes around here, but he does the 1 or 2 day sort of conference things, and people go, and a lot of times it's very much a pivotal transition type of thing for them because he motivates them to go and push themselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we saw the Netflix show, and that was pretty cool.
I'm Not Your Guru.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit maybe too American for us.
Yeah, we have that word for everything that's American. I'm sorry.
No, I know, because it's a bit I think, when you listen to him talk, he talks about how,
oh, I do everything for a reason, because I don't like the whole rock star jumping up and down. Like, that's very, like, cringy for me to watch. But I do understand psychologically how it gets people out of their comfort zone, brings them together, and I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and he also has to pump himself up, because, like, I also don't feel like work every day, you know, but he also said in the last podcast I listened to that he never missed a seminar. Yeah. So he always manages to get his mind kind of into the zone, and these are his tricks for it, right? To kind of sometimes you have to do that in life, to stand there over and over and over again with the same amount of energy. That's a hard thing, and everybody kind of deserves the same attention, but it's not an easy thing to do.
No, but yeah, Tony, he's like, I think what he just brings is that it's for him that's super important to just start jumping, but that's probably not the same for everybody. But he just wants to trigger what's important for you, know, and he shows it in different ways. But he's like, maybe a bit over the top for us Europeans, as we would say. Although I like to listen to him. It's
This other podcast I listen to is The Lawless, about snowboarding and skiing, and how we don't really follow the rules, or how everything is possible, and all these interesting conversations. But that's more like it feels like a chat with a cup of tea. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like listening to that, but then when I need this energy burst, I'm just like, okay, Tony. It depends a bit on your mood, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like a train almost, and it's never, it's just going, doesn't stop.
Yeah. It reminds me of, because I know that he has like a cold plunge pool at his house, and I've heard him talk about that. And it's similar to like the Wim Hof method stuff, where he gets himself going.
Get the blood going.
Before, so I have heard about various, and I've seen like various things, but I want to know, like, let's go before the bus. So I know that you were doing a lot of different nomadic things, a couple of projects, and like, what did that time look like before you made the decision to be on the bus?
So how far do you want to go back?
I guess like what kind of your first time together, and like what did that, were you always more on a nomadic path, or did you have like, were you staying in one spot and then you decided to make the jump? Like, what did that look like?
I think we were both nomadic in our own way. Yeah. For me, that was traveling around the world and kind of discovering if I wanted to study or not, and discovering life a bit. Mostly season life, like snowboarding and surfing. And Tim was more...
Yeah, me also. I was never on one spot. Even in Belgium, I moved from house to house so many times, and where I live, or where I'm from, so Belgium. But then I discovered snowboarding, so I also went to the Alps, and I also went from resort to resort, although I stayed in one spot more than in other ones, but I still wanted to discover, and it's like... Yeah, I thought inherent to me or something. I don't know if you can say that. Like, it's part of me to just keep exploring and moving. So I think for both of us, it's kind of the
and we met each other in that same world of ski seasons. Yeah. In the Alps.
In France. So we already met each other while we were on the move, sort of. So.
Yeah, and then it turned out by coincidence that where we grew up is like half an hour apart from each other, kind of.
Yeah, so. In Belgium. Yeah, so
So we met in the Alps. We were actually from the same region.
Our roots were kind of the same.
Okay, so you met in the Alps, and then after you met, you guys both went to your respective homes, which were nearby each other?
Yeah, not really, because I had a job in France. Okay. And I made a hostel in France, so I was more there than in Belgium. But between the seasons, it's like a seasonal work, so it's the winter and the summer. So you got autumn and spring, which normally I would always return to Belgium because, my family's there and I also like the country. And then you were there as well. And then
we kind of moved in with each other straight away. Yeah. Okay. Everything went very fast. Yeah. I think the first year we were together, we lived in 7 places. So it all moved.
I think we're just madly in love. We just wanted to be with each other like every second of the day. And so no matter where we were, we just want to be together. And then that didn't really matter the location.
Yeah, your world was a bit open to every possibility at that time. And I really wanted to keep on traveling and take you with me on that journey. Yeah. And then we decided to travel around the world. The first biggest idea, to put it in a short way, was on a longboard. That's how we started, with our dog, who had his own backpack, and we both had a big backpack on our backs.
Your dog had his own backpack?
Yes. Okay. A bit so like cute. A saddle kind of backpack.
Like a donkey,
Yeah. Carry his own weight.
Yeah, he had to carry his own food. We already had too much stuff.
Yeah, we had big backpacks. Like
so you were traveling on your
18 kilos.
longboard.
Yeah. We were.
Okay.
Yeah, a big backpack, like 16, 17 kilos or something, and I 18, 19 kilos, which is
it was heavy.
Heavy. It's quite heavy.
And then it went a bit too slow, so we started hitchhiking. At the same time, we had this idea of bringing all the people with a great idea in their minds together, like. We wanted to create like a platform for people who are doing good for the world or had a good idea or whatever. Like, we read so many interesting things on the internet and saw these little YouTube videos of, I don't know, girls skating in Afghanistan to a new kind of technology to I don't know, for electricity or. And now it exists. You have Pinterest and all these kind of things. Yeah. But back then that didn't really exist yet. So we thought there needs to be this kind of platform. Apparently more people in the world were thinking that. And we were doing it our way, and we called it Flapjack, and we gave people... No, Jack Flap. Jack Flap. Good. It's based on the Flapjack cookies, but then... The other way around. The other way around, Jack Flap. And we gave people a sticker if they were doing something cool. But then we felt kind of lost, and at the same time, we had a budget of €9 a day. What is it in dollars, like... $10 maybe, a bit more. Yeah, per person, and our dog had €2. So like $3 for us. And a lot of people were mostly interested in how on earth do you guys do that? Because in Europe, that is quite hard. It's pretty expensive.
And that included accommodation, food,
everything, transport, everything.
So what did, like, can you take me through, like, one day? Like, how was that money spent? Like, how did you sleep? What did you eat?
Yeah, so I would say in the more rich parts of Europe, it was basically putting up our tent somewhere, hoping to find a spot. Maybe sometimes, like, next to the highway, or when we were hitchhiking, or sometimes just in a forest, in a little village. And mostly couch surfing. A lot of couch surfing.
Using couch surfing, the platform.
Yeah. So we discovered couch surfing, and then just buying cheap, the most healthy food that we could find. Yeah, we're really into organic and healthy food, but at the same time we didn't have much budget, so kind of be creative with that. It was pretty fun. And rarely go on a restaurant. I remember we were going for a pizza once in Berlin, which was a really good one, but it wasn't expensive, maybe a couple of euros, but that was such a good pizza.
Everything tastes so much better.
You still remember it so strongly
because you really save like €1 every day, and you're like, then we can buy a pizza. It just makes you so aware of money, but it also makes you super aware of the fact that you don't need much money to be happy. We lived literally, I don't say we've been poor, but that's a very low standard of living, I think, and we were still very happy. It's just everything is a bit more effort. Like you need, your whole day is focused on getting somewhere, hitchhiking, couch surfing. Hitchhiking because you can't really pay for any transport. Finding a ride, and then finding a place where you sleep, and then being social all the time, because that's kind of what you do in return of the things I do for you. And at the same time, we had this website, and we're writing blogs, and so that was kind of our life at the time. Yeah.
Did you start to have people who were following along with you and writing to you as they're reading your blog?
Yeah,
and that's when, instead of Jack Flap, Let's Be Nomads was created. Because we thought, let's focus on that €9 a day. How do we do it? And we started writing everyday blogs about little tricks. Well,
we had a conversation with your aunt. I can still remember that. She was like, she is a life coach, and she was like, we're kind of lost in what you guys are wanting to show the world, and what are you actually doing now? And then
we didn't know either.
We were like, we don't know either.
Let us know.
We just went, and we just thought this was a good idea. And then after a while, it became really clear that we're just basically traveling on a low budget, and that's the main thing. And anything else was a bonus. If you would work somewhere voluntary, and there was like a new technique, composting or whatever, we could talk about it. But it wasn't the primary thing. It was about survival, not really in the way that you would go into a jungle, but in the modern world, kind of.
It was not easy. No.
It wasn't easy because the winter came. It was super cold. Our tent was it's not insulated, obviously, with good sleeping bags, but it's always trying to find the next spot. It was quite intense, and
and then kind of to ease our mind. Sounds maybe weird, but that's when we decided to do the pilgrimage to St. James, Santiago.
Okay.
It's a bit like how you guys have the Pacific Crest Trail.
I've heard about this. So you as you decided that you were going to go and do this, it's like 30-day journey then?
Yeah. 30 days of walking every day, like 25 kilometers.
We thought let's clear our minds, because it was a bit too much. Like, we didn't know what we wanted in life. So Yeah, we started to do that. And then we got our first sponsor as well for some clothing and stuff. So we kind of that started rolling. And it got a bit more serious, more riding.
While on the trail.
Yeah. And then at some point, to kind of fast forward through this journey, we decided there was a very cheap flight to Mexico. And we did some volunteer work on a permaculture farm. But because then our costs were kind of paid for, we could save our €9 a day. So we could actually pay for this ticket. So we flew to Mexico. And then we started traveling around Mexico and Belize, Guatemala at a very slow pace. But with €9 in Central America, you can
a lot more.
get yourself an apartment.
We even had a house.
Oh, wow.
We could rent a house at one point in San Cristobal de las Casas.
Yeah, and in San Pedro in Guatemala.
Yeah, a really nice apartment with a view over the lake. It's not, modern standard-wise with a big fridge and everything, with where the ice cubes come out. But
it's a lot more than a tent by the side of the road.
It feels like you have a bit more of a house, and we could host people couch surfing at the time.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was cool to do something back for that community.
Yeah, I remember at one point we had like 7 people sleeping in it's a one-room apartment, so we had the hammocks and people on the ground and we in the double bed, and it was just...
And you weren't like collecting money for this, you were just doing it because you wanted to like kind of give back, right?
Yeah, because we've been living off people sort of like the whole year already, so the moment we could, we tried to give back a little bit.
Yeah.
But getting back to the trail in Spain, did you find your focus that you were looking for when you were on there?
Well, it was definitely I would recommend it to anybody, and it's sort of like fits in your life, because I did it the year before, and it was already a very interesting journey for me. I met super interesting people, had a lot of thoughts, and then the next time we did it together, so we both had our journey into that.
It might be a bit like the Tony Robbins week you talked about, right? How this resets your life. I think it does a similar thing. It's like 30 days of mindfulness, like you're walking, thinking, eating, sleeping. That's all you do. So you have all this time, and you talk with the right kind of people that you meet along the way. You listen to audiobooks that inspire you. You listen to music. Like, you just kind of give this reset to yourself. Yeah. And I think I could do it every year, and it would be amazing. It's quite an effort, but a week of Tony Robbins sounds easier than this. But that's kind of what it does.
Yeah, definitely.
In some way.
And it didn't like give a big breakthrough or anything, but it just made you aware of your physical capabilities and also maybe mental. You get stronger and you feel so strong at the end of those 30 days. You're like, wow, I can do anything. Just bring it on. The world, come on.
Yeah, and it shows you what you're capable of. It's like finishing something in life that you can be proud of, and you...
Yeah,
maybe gives you the strength to finish your projects, whatever you want to do in life, and sort of gives you a base for things. So, it's definitely interesting to do.
I think it was also good for our relationship.
Also.
Because we traveled for this, in total, this whole thing took 2 years. But I think because we traveled so close with each other in a tent and 24/7 through all these adventures, we really got to know each other. And that kind of gave us a pretty strong base to start this bus project, where you live even closer together, maybe.
I think, I know back home, a lot of times people will say, like, going on a vacation is a test of a relationship, and this is like so much more far beyond. A lot of people are talking about like going to Hawaii, so like okay, so this brings us to like the bus point. Like, how did that was it around the snowboarding, or like how did that idea come to fruition?
It was because we missed snowboarding. We had been away from the mountains now for 2 years, or from the snow at least. So we thought, how do we kind of implement that back into our lives? And then I came across this video on YouTube called Quest for Powder, Tiny House Living, by 2 American pro skiers who built a tiny house behind their truck, and they were driving from one ski resort in Colorado and stuff to another.
Okay.
And then there was no snow in Colorado, so, let's go to Canada. And we thought like, ooh, what
this is nice, because I lived for 10 years in the mountains, and I knew that sometimes the snow is way better if you just drive 100 kilometers, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I love powder. I love snowboarding in powder. It's just like that surfy, smooth feeling. So let's try to build something, a project around we can enjoy that again, because I really miss that part of my life. Although we had great experiences in Central America.
And we knew we wanted to start a hostel, or that was kind of one of our ideas that we had. So we thought, what if we combine this and turn it into a business, so we can live on the road following the best snow while earning money so we can actually survive. Yeah, so all that came together and we started to write a business plan and then a crowdfunding and...
But I remember it was like you showed me that video and she was super stoked in the morning. Ah, you gotta see this, you gotta see this. Like, what? Yeah, they're touring, snowboarding. Like, okay, well, what is it? And then
I discovered it.
You were
for
so
she was
excited.
so excited.
You woke him up?
Yeah, sort of like...
I was kind of, I was still in my head from like,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
night, and he finally woke up and was like, ah!
You're waking him up.
And I was like, okay, show me. And I watched it and I was like, okay, there might be something in it, you know. And then the moment I saw it and we both felt like, okay, just go for it. We were going to make this happen. And it went so fast. There wasn't like a year of like, should we not? It was like just,
So
I don't know.
you made the business plan, and then...
The next day we started creating the plans for the bus already, almost like after seeing the movie, we're like thinking about name, logos, whatever. It's just like non-stop.
I think what always comes back in our relationship is that we really dare to dream together. Yeah, we don't kind of put each other's dreams down. There you go.
Yeah, we don't wait for stuff and try to make
we
it happen.
kind of
Yeah.
brainstorm together all the time and kind of that works really well.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's how this kind of, if one of us has a dream, it's not like, oh yeah, but it's more like, ooh, how do we do this?
How can it happen?
And
Yeah.
finding solutions together is our strongest suit, I think.
Yeah, because I would think one of the biggest obstacles at this point is you probably didn't have money to buy a bus at this point, right?
No,
so then that's when you thought about crowdfunding.
Yeah, then we thought about the Kickstarter and we thought, we'll see. It works both ways because then you can also figure out if people are interested in your idea.
Right.
Because in the end, people need to book this trip. If they don't do, then we can build it, but then it's also not sustainable. So then we decided to go for an Indiegogo campaign, which was also quite funny.
And in America it
very
already
interesting.
existed, right? Schoolies or like building, converting school buses into a home. There were a few driving around the States, but in Europe that was a completely new thing. So that really inspired people in Europe, I think, and that's why the crowdfunding works.
Was it mostly people who had been following you on your blog that then... or just they found you?
Not really. I would say it was more of a combination of our existing networks and maybe some people that knew some people. It was a kind of a close circle, I would say. It wasn't like, the whole world suddenly knew about this amazing project like some Kickstarters
also a lot of people crowdfunded who we'd never heard of before. So
no, but I think they'll
spread a bit.
Yeah, it's like tentacles, that they... It wasn't...
It's not only family. It really...
No, it's spread up.
Word of mouth from people to people.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Like the first few days, it's family who supports. That's the first ones who come in. And it's cool because then you create like a bit of there's some money on there. So people think, okay, it's actually going to work. And then it dies out a bit because you have, I think, 45 days. And then it's all in or nothing. That's what we did. You can choose this kind of...
Okay, you can choose, like, if it doesn't work, then everyone gets their money back, basically. Yeah.
And in general, that works better because it's more, motivating for people to help out. And it's a bit like a political campaign. You have to keep on pushing people. Like, they say, oh yeah, I'll support, I love the idea.
Yeah.
But then they forget and life goes by and you're like, oh, can you please remember? Because it does make a big difference.
Right.
And then the last weekend was amazing. Like, this one, what do you call it? Pledge? No.
Yeah, pledge. Yeah.
Pledge after the other came in, just like boom, 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 boom. I think like 250 in one weekend because everybody was we were almost there,
Yeah.
So everybody started helping out, and then we even went 3,000 euros over the
limit.
Limit that we needed. So.
Were you a little bit before that last week? Was it like kind of you weren't sure?
Yeah, well, wasn't sure. Yeah.
Because we asked for 20,000 euros, quite a lot of money. I think we were like 6,000 off. And 6,000 is quite a lot to raise.
Yeah.
And you don't have anything to prove yet, right? That's the whole thing of crowdfunding, but it's just an idea.
Yeah.
People really have to believe in your
Yeah, it wasn't there yet. Yeah, the whole bus was just a dream, They made it.
Yeah, because there were even companies already sponsoring us without the product even being there, which I'm still actually surprised that they really trusted us that much, which is amazing.
Did they reach out to you? Or did you
No, we
them?
reached out to them at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, we wrote to like a lot of companies that we were also interested in, and some of them wrote back, some didn't, and the ones that wrote back we kept in touch, and then some of them actually started sponsoring, so that was cool. But it's more product-wise, we didn't really get money from them.
Yeah.
But anything helps, if you start out with something, although the small thing happens.
Sustainable company, so we kind of try to put each other out there, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you got the money, and then you found your bus next
On eBay.
on eBay. On eBay.
We heard about Craigslist. Yeah, that's not a thing in Europe, but we discovered that one, and everyone said, "Yeah, go look on Craigslist. You'll find your bus easy." And we looked on it, and couldn't really find anything. And then I thought, yeah, let's put it in eBay. You never know. And then suddenly the bus pops up, and I'm like, oh, this was sort of what we were looking for, because we were looking for not all buses are similar, and probably you know that, but some are shorter, some don't have the belly storage. Some have the engine in the front, some have the engine in the back, blah, blah, blah. So we had some specifics for us because we wanted to go climb mountains and all those kind of things. So I finally found one on eBay, and it was a guy who did all these school buses for a school district. So he maintained them, but he also sold them after 10 years because that's sort of the legal term or something in the States. So we were kind of thinking, like, this is a good idea, let's buy this bus. And he even helped us drive it from Tennessee to Florida to because we didn't have a license to drive it there. He was so kind to bring us all the way with him on the bus. So that's our first drive ever in the bus, and it went really smooth. So we thought, like, okay, this is a really good a good bus that we bought, and then we put it on a ship to Belgium. And we had to wait for like 4 weeks or something when it arrived.
No, even longer.
5 weeks, 6 weeks in the end, I think.
And everything in here is like all like custom, and you had some people like working on it with you, right? But you didn't. You must have had to learn a ton unless you had construction experience.
Yeah, we didn't know anything. We had never built anything in our lives, in a house-wise or whatever. So.
Did you have to change things? Because I noticed, like, on the past week on the bus, like, everything is so thoughtful. Like, you have to be that way in a tiny home, right? Like, you have to, like, have a place for everything.
Yeah.
Did you design that up front, or did you have to, like, modify things as you've gone?
I think some ideas definitely came up along the way. You're like, oh, we have some space left over, let's create this or that.
But the basics were just they were
that was
set.
pre-designed.
Yeah, they were like, this is the best flow. We thought of, obviously we drew out a couple of diagrams to see what worked and what didn't work.
And then we put tape like where something was gonna be. So you had this idea when you walk through. With the beds, we held like planks above us to see, can we still twist it?
Yeah.
And, like, you kind of
we even put like plastic chairs in here to see the height and stuff. But you don't know how what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah, and we had a friend who's a carpenter who helped out. So he kind of had this, the knowledge for the very important basic framing. That was not in our world. We couldn't have done that ourselves.
No.
And how long did the whole conversion take, or the renovation?
I think around 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah, so it was 6 months almost like every day, and then there was like a waiting period for some stuff, materials, and a friend that was gonna help out again, and then another 3 months in total, I think, after that period, so 9 more or less.
Yeah, like 6 months it took for really the basic finishing kind of structure. We could live in it, but we didn't have curtains. The wood stove, I think, was just working. They were still placing the washing machine. Like, it was all very basic at the time.
Yeah.
Until you were living in it, were you living back in a tent, or were you back, like, where?
Yeah, we had tents next to the bus. But then at one point we got a friend who knew somebody we could rent, or no, we could stay in a clubhouse kind of thing also for a bit. But then we slept already in the bus, so we
always found a way.
We always found our way to just.
But I was pregnant at the time, and I remember until I was 6 months pregnant, I slept in a tent. Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, fine. Only annoying if I had to pee in the middle of the night, and I remember like hating to go out of the tent because it was already November, pretty cold outside. But then there was this beautiful dawn. Like the clouds that are hanging over the fields.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was in the morning, and there were these horses, and it was beautiful, but it was very annoying at the same time. Yeah, but besides that, it was fine.
Yeah, you managed. You even worked on the bus, you know.
Don't forget, we lived in a tent for 2 years, kind of.
So there was nothing new.
You can only go uphill from there.
Okay. And then you had your first trip, which was different than the trip that I'm on right now because it was not so organized at first.
Yeah,
right?
the very first one was actually kind of organized because it was a bunch of friends that we just gave a huge discount and just to see if it would work at all, you know. It was a kind of test case. So, and it was a set week. Like we went to the Alps to go snowboarding because that was the main goal for it. So we wanted to see how that worked.
Yeah.
And that was 1 week. But then after that, it became kind of a hostel where people just randomly could check in and out whenever they wanted to. So that was the first period. And then we decided, wow, this is probably not the best for our concept. And then we went from daily or nightly bookings to fixed periods for 7 days, 10 days. And then that's where we are at the moment. So
Any surprises in the first, like, kind of trips?
What do you mean by surprises?
Is there anything that you... I'm sure there must have been a bunch of little things, but was there anything in the first couple of trips where you were just like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. Okay, next, we're going to have to change this.
Yeah, for me, it's not you for sure, but for me, I remember that first trip, I had quite a hard time. And I think it was because we had to wait to get the bus officially on the road for a year and a half. So when Fenna was a year and a half, we could finally go. And we had been living in it just as a family. And everything has its place and everything, works as a family. But then suddenly you're sharing your home with 6 people. And it's getting better. But I'm a bit of a control freak in certain things. So I was like, to suddenly, have to let go of everything. Like everything suddenly gets a different place and all these things. And I don't know, it was just that first week and I think I had my period at the same time or something. And I remember calling my sister in tears and I'm like, I'm supposed to be so happy, I'm living my dream, but I'm crying right now. And she's like, it's okay, you're also in this new, this whole new project is starting, a new lifestyle, you have to adjust and it's fine, it can take time. But that was hard, that first week. I also had a lot of fun, but it's not easy.
Yeah. You don't seem like, I know you've said it, but you don't really seem too much like a control freak. But maybe it's something you're working on.
It's getting a lot better, and I'm super happy that this is a certain project that makes you work on that skill or character or like. Yeah, I think is one of the most important things in life is to learn to let go, and I think that's for everybody. We all have our certain way that we need to do that. Yeah. So I'm very happy that I'm getting better and better and better at it. So.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I can only confirm. I have less issues with that, I just let people be, and in general, I don't really mind.
You have your own way, like what you learned about kind of not letting things.
Yeah, that's true. I had sometimes the frustration of looking at something too negatively. In the bus would break down, or there was a parking that we couldn't fit in, or whatever, and I was like stressed a lot. Mm-hmm. And then, at one point I also realized that that's just not the way to handle this, look at it as a challenge. It's something that comes along your way and fix it and try to be positive about it, There's people who are going to help, there's a way that you can fix it. And that took me maybe over a year, 2 years maybe to even get into that mindset. And right now I'm even at that point where I'm okay, I'll go under the bus, see if I can fix it myself. If I can't fix it, I'll call somebody, I'll try to figure it out. But at first I would just start shouting like, fuck, what's stupid? And
I think you took it personally?
Yeah, it was like a failure, sort of like, why this is not working? I worked so hard for this and it's still not working. Why it just cannot be all good? And then that was a hard time, but I think now it's different. And
and also that is only been going uphill from there. We've had a really tough first 2 years because we had quite a lot of breakdowns and mechanical problems. The bus concept always worked, and the people have always been amazing. There's nothing bad about that. But it was just that mechanical challenge constantly, and you're always kind of living literally on the edge. You're like, a breakdown can happen any minute, and that's quite scary. Is not the right word, but just frustrating in some way.
Yeah, for me, it was driving with stress a lot, and that's not nice. You don't want to be stressed out when you're living your dream again. What she said, like, I'm finally living my dream, but I'm constantly stressed that something might happen. That was not nice. Yeah,
now it's more relaxing that it's actually working. And then if we start feeling, we know the bus very well. We know every sound now, every feeling. And so now we feel something is not right. We just go to the garage. And even if that costs a lot of money, by procrastinating it makes it worse. We learned that over the years. We should just kind of tackle the problem as soon as it gets there and find a solution.
Yeah. And now we also have days off in between. Before we used to do like Saturday on Saturday, so it's just non-stop. You don't have any time to deal with these kind of things. And now sometimes we take off 4 days or even 6. And then you can make an appointment with a garage and just go by and say, like, I heard this sound, what can it be? And then obviously this is a way nicer way to start your next trip, because otherwise you're on, I felt something last week and I don't know if this week is gonna be good or not. So yeah, that's like the whole psychology.
Yeah, so we are a lot more
at ease now, yeah, and it makes me way more happy as well.
Yeah, and I even wonder how we did it the first years of that, like what he said, of not having a break, because financially it was so heavy that we needed to go bam, bam, Saturday. We had like the guest would leave around 10 or 12. We had a few hours to clean the bus and bam, next group arrives. And now we have 4 or a week in between and it's a lot nicer.
Yeah. I also don't know how we did it, but we did it.
Yeah, it's such an intense lifestyle, and we have some breathing space in the back, or when we used to still live in the bus, but still you constantly have people around you.
Yeah.
And you have a little bit more distance now too. Now that you have a camper, you can be a little bit more separate and
so
giving up more control as you have new hosts.
Yeah, I think it's also important. That was our last season. It was harder for me, I think, because you have this way that everything works and you know it's the right way because it worked.
Right.
But then people do it differently, and in my head it goes like, oh, that's wrong. But then if you kind of relax, you're like, oh, that also works. You know, it doesn't all have to be my way.
Yeah.
Life lessons, anyways.
As you scale, like if you want to not have to do everything for every moment of the day, you have to like let go to scale, I think, a business.
Yeah.
And it's also important for the hosts themselves, because if you control like every movement they do, then at one point they are like, well, I'm not your puppet, you know, just do it yourself. And I think that's also something that's empowering to them, that if they have the freedom, the liberty to attack certain stuff themselves. So it's works that way as well.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with Tim from the crew this summer about it yesterday. That he has that with Jana, his girlfriend, his partner with volunteering now, that she was, for example, cooking the mushrooms the other day in a pad thai, and where he and me exactly the same would have thought, oh, you have to fry those mushrooms first with an onion and it's gonna have so much more flavor, and otherwise it doesn't work, you can't just throw them in. She said, well, I did it last time and you didn't notice. He was like, oh.
Shit.
So these are exactly the same mindset. You have this view of how things have to go, and then you kind of have to, and it works. So.
Yeah,
definitely.
And then when you're not, so you have seasons, and then in between the seasons, you're going back home to Belgium, right? And then what are your days a bit different?
Definitely, because the
totally
main reason why we are there is because we want to give Fenna the experience of going to school as well, to enjoy other kids and learn from them. Not only because she learns a lot, obviously, on the road because of all the people that she meets, but, you know, with kids it's always different.
Yeah.
So that's the main focus for us, and then it's all about bringing her to school. You're like the regular school dad, just biking a kid to school and then taking her from school. And
so weird.
Yeah. And we didn't because Ziggy, you were pregnant and Ziggy was going to be born, we didn't do anything else then. But now this year we're going to organize in the weekends again, like small like workshops, maybe about photography or making, I don't know, whatever we can. So we're going to be more with our in tune with our project again, I think, and it's going to be a better balance, because we were kind of lost sort of like last year as well.
I think also the basics of the bus work now. We kind of proven it to ourselves over the last 3 years that that whole stuff is it's it works. So we thought, okay, we want to start learning things again. We're always looking for new things to grow ourselves, I guess. So we thought, why not do themed trips? So we now had a yoga trip, and we're going to do a photography course trip, and then in Belgium, that's kind of going to continue with these weekends. It's all going to be about courses and things people can learn, or cool things we can do, and everything's going to have a theme.
Yeah.
Put some more spike into it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But so during the week, Fenna will go to school, and in the weekends we'll do these trips. So will be kind of a different way, something new again.
Yeah, it's a new test. We have no idea how this is going to go.
Spice it up a little bit.
But we also have our family there, so you have those kind of events that happen, and we have friends and do some sports, and there's it's a completely different life than we were living
our hometown
here.
is nice, and it's a very nice city, but it doesn't have mountains, so it always scares me a little bit to go home, because what makes me the happiest here and on the road is not going to be there.
Yeah.
So you have to find the joy in other things.
The freedom is way bigger here than in our own country, I would say.
Yeah.
Freedom time-wise, space-wise, there's, There's a lot more of it here, which I definitely enjoy.
Yeah.
Um,
Less obligation.
But yeah, there's positive sides as well. It's nice food, nice people, nice luxury of supermarkets everywhere and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So facilities, sports facilities.
Yeah, it's a bit our reset button.
Yeah.
Kind of work on the business and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, work on new ideas, get stoked for the new season again. So it's good, because I think if we do this all year round, at one point you might also get burned out, sort of, which is maybe weird.
You
thinking
take all
about
that
this,
beauty for general, right? Like,
for
granted.
For granted.
What about, okay, so you mentioned your family. How has your family felt about, is this like, are there lots of people in your family who have chosen a different path, or are they thinking it's a bit weird that you decided to do this, or like how have they been receptive, or how have they received it?
My surname is Cook, so James Cook, discovering, traveling. I've kind of traveled a lot as a kid as well with my parents. Different, like maybe not as nomadic. Oh, we also went to campings, kind of, but I still didn't follow the path they picked out for me if they could have. Like, I didn't want to study and all those kind of things. Not a career woman. And so it was a bit of struggle for them. But they always supported it in some way. They weren't like, yeah, Val, this is awesome. But they were there when I needed them. So I'm definitely grateful for that. And then over the years, if they could see proof and how our kids were happy and how we were happy and how it got better and better, then they got more behind us in some way. So it just took time.
But your family is like spread all over the world, so you have definitely a kind of a family that follows their dreams and their intuition in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you have people living in Norway, in Texas, in...
Yeah, I'm definitely the most nomadic one, but people are definitely not afraid to travel and explore, for sure.
Yeah.
It's often business related, but still, yeah.
Yeah, but But whereas my family, they just live close by in our country, Belgium, like not so far from where they're born, and they're doing kind of a regular jobs in 9 to 5. Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
How do they feel about the bus?
They were kind of supportive because they've known me like traveling around for 10 years, not really world traveling, but just not always being at home, just being away a lot. And they also know me as a guy that kind of makes it happen and figures it out, and it will always be okay. They've learned that along the way. She was not like Val, where she just started doing this like it will be all okay, and they were more skeptical. So they kind of think they were always believing in me and seeing that if it doesn't work, we'll try something else and that will work then, or something like that. I don't know. You should ask them, but that's the kind of the vibe that I got from them always. Is like, we support you, and we also think that it's gonna be okay no matter what you try.
They have their doubts sometimes, but they don't really express it in that kind of way.
They're probably not too forward. You said forward about it.
Yeah. What about when you have had, I'm sure you've had some doubts as the bus breaks down or something goes wrong. How do you stay confident in those times, and how do you not just say like, oh, this isn't going to work, screw it, we have to like do something else?
Yeah, well, I talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, so it's such a frustrating time, and you want to keep this project going, and you're really happy that when everything works, but when it breaks down, you're like, oh no, not again. And we had one period where we even had like people on the bus, and we had to find solutions for them, sending them on another bus so they could catch their plane back home, and refunding some stuff. And we were like, that's not the way that we want to do this, obviously.
And we believed in it, right?
But we just went for it, and we're still going for it, and we're still believing it 100%. And
I don't think if we would have doubted this in general, it would have never happened. The whole starting it, even crowdfunding, building it, everything came with so many challenges, and it was constantly a fight for finding solutions. So if that wasn't our mindset, we wouldn't even have made it past the first month.
No, that's true.
That's just, if you have a dream like this, you just gotta go for it.
Do you think that just because you're both that way, because I know like a lot of people have dreams, but not a lot of people, fewer people try them, and even fewer people stick with it.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty unique to stay with something like this. Do you think that you like feed off of each other?
Yeah, I think it's also a character trait, maybe.
Yeah.
I think if everybody was like this, then we only had entrepreneurs and no people working for companies. So some people like it more to have that stable lifestyle. Some people like the risk. We feed off the risk. That gives us the motivation in some way.
Yeah, but also of each other, I think. Because at one point when you were like doubting, like, is still need? Is this not too much? And no, we need to just think about another way and maybe stop doing the bus. And then I was like, no, we're gonna go for it, keep going for it. And then at other times I'm like, another breakdown. I don't want to do this anymore. And she's like, yeah, but no, we'll fix it. We'll find a solution. So we definitely feed off each other.
I think our community is also very strong, and I think that whole kind of vibe behind it helps through a lot of the times as well. Like, for example, when we had a breakdown and you put the diagnostics online, you get like so many messages like, oh, it could be this or it could be that, and it's just amazing to feel that everybody's kind of wants to help
they
you
want
out.
you to succeed. That's also nice, or they want to help you fix the problems, and that's really nice. Yeah. I've always felt that in every breakdown that we had, there's always somebody who can find it. And we've had these random people helping as well. Like in Spain, we got stuck somewhere on a beach parking, and then suddenly there's this guy passing by. You have a cool bus, and he didn't even know that we were stuck. And I said like,
Alan, shout out to Alan.
This young guy from
if you're gonna see him again in Spain,
Argentina or something, or from
Spain. He's Spanish.
No, but he lives in Spain, but he's originally from somewhere. Anyway, so he's like 30 years old, 25 years old, and he just looks at the bus and super cool, and said, yeah, but at the moment we're actually broken down, we can't really move anymore. And he said like, but I'm a mechanic, I'll help you guys, it's fine, I'll come back. And then like literally an hour later he's back there with all his tools and gear, and he's just fixing our bus. And then our bus could drive again.
And he rescued us a few times.
And then after that, we even had a worse story.
He was a speed dial.
He was our speed mechanic. He lived like 2 or 3 hours away from where we were, and we were stuck in San Sebastian, which is a very cool old city in the north of Spain. And there's a bridge where you drive over, and that's like, it's full of tourists. And exactly on that bridge, the bus broke down. So they literally fell apart from underneath the bus. Like the drive shaft fell out. So, and my parents were behind us in their own camper. And then suddenly I got a message like, something fell out of your bus. And you're like, oh shit. And I heard something. I was like, and I can't, I couldn't move anymore with the ghost.
So with the police, they pushed the bus off the bridge.
So suddenly there's police all around. So obviously I need to move off the bridge, you need to call your insurance and blah blah blah. And then suddenly one of these guys says, well, maybe you can help and push it. It's like, I don't think you can push it, it's like 12,000 kilos, 12 ton. And he's like, no, we'll try. So then the police started pushing us over the top of the bridge, and then we could roll off it and park it on the side somewhere. But it was like in the middle of the night, almost like at 1 o'clock or 12 or something. And so I called Alan, said, Alan, sorry, we're stuck again, can you help? And like an hour later he was there, or 2 hours later, and he helped us fix the bus again, like from 3 to 4 in the night under the bus with me, and then we could drive again. So that's the beauty of the people that,
and there's so many stories like that, so many garages, so many places we came that they helped out. And
some garages, they don't even charge a fee. They're like, we like
so
your bus,
cool,
it's cool,
guys.
It's fine. We don't charge you. That's okay, cool, thank you. But you get a lot back because of what you're trying to accomplish, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like you probably have a pretty unique and positive perspective of just human nature from this.
It's hard to think of all the bad, negative news that you see online everywhere, and we're like, that's not the world we live in, at least, and we've been around in many, many countries, so it's very hard for me to believe that that's the official view of the world.
The funniest thing, I think, relative to this is that, related to this, is that we had this video on YouTube, and it was by another company, Go Downsizing or something it's called. And there were, Americans writing comments under this video, or one guy said, how can you ever, let your wife and kids on this bus with random strangers, they'll get raped and shit. Like, it got really, really bad. And that is, I think it's true that some people really believe this. And we constantly have strangers on the bus, but we trust them with everything. Everything we own is on here, and somehow we never worry that somebody's just gonna run off with everything that's on the bus. I don't know what they're gonna take, the wood stove or the literally.
They could even drive the bus away if they want.
So I don't know. I think it's that trust, and if you kind of put that out in a world.
But there's also no doubt in my head that that would happen, you know.
No, and if it does, we had a good run.
Yeah, but that's probably as important as actually.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
Yeah, it's a very different. I mean, that would be a very common perspective. I would say, especially in America. But I also think, like, if you think that way, there is a bit of a tax that you have in your mind when you're always thinking that way. Like, if you're always afraid, oh, I can't leave this there, it's going to get stolen. Oh, like, I can't trust people. It's really taxing on your mind, and it really separates you, I think, from other people, because you're always looking at them like, what are you going to do to me? Yeah.
And kind of living in fear.
And it probably will happen. That's what I truly believe. It will happen faster that way, or easier. You know.
Yeah. What about, like, your parenting and your schedule? How do you manage just some stability and, like, feeling like a family unit while having to, like, interact with such a large group all the time?
I think the base of it all is love, you know. There's I feel a lot of love for my kids and for Val, and it's just, and for Louis, our dog. It's like, that's the center of it. And then, yeah, we're
living in a small space, so we
see each other so much, you...
Where's my poem about living in a tiny space?
Oh, your poem?
That was above the coffee.
Oh yeah, that's gone.
Yeah. It's something about tiny houses. I can show you later.
Okay.
It's an amazing quote. Like, yeah, that tiny houses have fewer walls to separate, but that it brings us so much closer together. Like, when we are together, we're right now in the camper in 14 square meters.
Yeah.
He wants to be with us, sorry.
Hi, Louis.
Sit down here, chill, up.
Something that I like to think about is, and I've gotten it from listening to other podcasts as well, if you could give yourself 10 years ago some advice, what would that advice be?
To be very honest, I do not regret any moment in my life. So I don't think I would have advised. You know, like, I think that all the mistakes I've made led me to where I am today. And because I, at the age of 18, decided that I should follow my own path and say fuck it to everybody who didn't believe that, I truly lived up to what I believed in. So I would give myself a shoulder pat 10 years ago. That would be like, what I did.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Good
because
work.
I did make my mistakes, but I really don't regret anything I did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I would say stress less when it's not going your way. I always believe that everything will be okay, but I still had to go through those negative thoughts and feel like, oh, why is this happening to me? But that's not necessary. It's just adds, like, what do you say, fuel to the fire or something.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help in any way, and so if I would, could tell myself that would make my life a bit less stressy, but
Yeah, and it's okay to fail, I guess.
Yeah.
That especially the biggest life lesson, that you shouldn't expect that everything is gonna go easy, because it never will.
Yeah.
And finding solutions is pretty fun in the end. Not while you're doing it, maybe, but
later. Yeah. It's good for you.
Yeah.
This is another one that I've adopted from listening to. I think. Do you know the Tim Ferriss podcast?
I've read one of his books.
I think you'd like the podcast. He does a lot of really great interviews with all types of people, some athletes and others. But this is a question he asks a lot, which is, if you could put a billboard anywhere in the world and it can say anything, what billboard would you put up?
Interesting.
Ooh.
Something in the lines of don't doubt yourself. Kind of just do it. You have this idea, do it.
No.
Again, like, you will fail, but that's okay. And step back up and go for it again and again and again. But I think just people are scared, and people are scared of even trying. And I think it's all about just giving everything a chance. And you'll kind of discover along the way what you do like and what you don't. And if you don't try, you'll never know. and you hang there lingering.
Yeah, I would kind of say it's in the same direction, but like life is progress or living is progress. Like, yeah, evolve and you'll be happy, kind of that vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a hard question.
Yeah, it's a hard question.
I would need to think about
what
it
is
a bit more.
that the saying they have? Yeah, it's something about, you always kind of living towards finally living, you know, while you could be living all the time.
Yeah, and I guess this would probably be about the same answer, but another thing that I think about for this podcast, because I'm interviewing people who are choosing to do something totally different than the average. Would that be basically your advice, or do you have any other advice for other people who might be listening to this thinking about doing something different but are just kind of standing at the edge of the water?
Yeah, I think, and that's a girl that I met during one of those walks that I did in Spain, and she said to me, like, we're living in an age now where it's time to create your own job, your own life, instead of just go and work for somebody else. And there's no bad side there. There's nothing that that should scare you, because it's only positive if you can develop your own talent or whatever it is that you need to find and live doing that. That will only make you happy. There's nothing. It might make you a bit financially strong in the first years, but it will always get you where you want to go, instead of being unhappy, which you can be any time if you like, if you're just gonna go find a job somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think that really one of the easiest tricks in life is to kind of just look at life from a different perspective, and what sometimes helps is just to literally climb onto the top of a mountain, go for a hike, go for a walk, and just to kind of zoom out. You sometimes see how things aren't as bad or complicated as you might think. Or
yeah, it can be really difficult when you're in it and your everyday is the same. I think especially for people working like a 9-to-5 job and everyone around them is doing the same thing, removing yourself and seeing it from a different perspective.
Yeah, change is so important. I think Jeremy told me yesterday as well, like he at one point now stopped what he's doing and I think said like, yeah, but you're going on a holiday, you need to figure out your life, you need to start working again. And he says like, but if I'm 30, I don't have any kids, I don't have any other obligations, whenever am I going to figure out what I'm going to do next, just let me just wander a little bit. So it's not a bad thing to be kind of lost. And I
think that this project, like Life on the Nomads Bus, is about that as well. People join the bus here to kind of live simple in some way for a few days, not be in the midst of all the crazy big city life things going on, but just step away from that busy calendar and take
from
a
their
breath,
bubble. Everybody
hike.
lives in a bubble, so they're joining in our bubble, but it's a way different one than they're used to, so that it gives you a different perspective.
Definitely not everybody would want to live like this on a bus with other people, but they do see that things are possible, that you can live differently, that you can eat differently, that you can move differently, like all these things that can inspire them to then follow their own path.
Yeah, I think that being, like, especially for me, even though I've left my job, I'm, like, figuring things out. I think for people who like to be in control as well, like type A personality, being lost is very difficult. It can be very hard because you're like, oh, but, like, at least I have a plan, and not having a plan can be very, very hard. Yeah.
But what we've learned is that not having a plan generally leads to creating a plan.
Yeah, a plan. A better one probably than if you forced it.
Yeah. So it's such a bad thing to say, oh, you don't have a plan? What are you going to do with your life? Are you not sad? No, it's good, Embrace it, and it will form into another plan or something else. We're humans. We don't want to sit around all day and just do nothing.
No.
Everybody wants to achieve something in the end, and yeah,
that's how we created this, by kind of saying we're going to travel the world and we'll see what happens, and we'll just be open-minded to whatever comes our way.
This wasn't our plan, but now thanks to traveling, this is what happened, so I'm very glad we did that. Could have been working in an office, for example.
Well, that's all the questions that I have, but before we wrap up, do you have anything that you would like to share for anything coming up or promote, or any of the trips, or anything you want to talk about?
Good question.
I think we'll be doing this for at least another year or 2 years. So if you ever want to join, or if anybody ever...
The time is now.
The time is now, yeah. It won't be forever. It's definitely a part of our path in life. Yeah. And we love doing it right now. But we'll see where it goes. And it's called thenomadsbus.com.
Yeah.
Thenomadsbus.com. And then I'll put it in the show notes as well so people can click on the link.
So, and if you're in Europe and you're around in October to February, we're going to do this mini trip. So if you're not, you don't have a lot of holidays or whatever, you just want to try it out for a weekend, and we are going to do some weekend trips. It's always going to start in Belgium, but you never know if you want to take a train or whatever.
And then we're heading back to the Alps for some skiing and snowboarding.
That's the plan, to Austria, and then next summer is probably going to be some wine tours in France, and then heading over to the surf coast in Spain, doing surfing, hiking, and be more in nature again. So that's the upcoming year.
And then probably continued by Norway again, because we'll miss it so much by then.
Yeah.
But, we never know where life takes us.
No, so basically follow us on whatever, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you find us, because we're always changing our plans also. So it's better to keep in touch.
Yeah, and if you have questions about anything in life, or you are stuck and you don't know if you should follow your dreams or not, or you can always email us, and we might, maybe we can help you in some way. So
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a really nice interview.
That's it for this episode of That's Different podcast. I hope that you love the conversation as much as I did. that'sdifferentpodcast.com. That's where you will find the transcript for today's show and then links to anything that we mentioned. If you are even remotely interested in joining these two on a trip, just do it. It is a transformative experience, and just like we discussed in the interview, it's these sorts of experiences outside of your own bubble that can provide the perspective needed to follow your own dreams. Check out the Nomads Bus at thenomadsbus.com or on Instagram at the Nomads Family. And thanks so much for listening to this very first episode of That's Different podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to subscribe wherever you love to listen to podcasts. There are so many great episodes coming up and interviews coming up this season. I cannot wait to go on this journey with you. Be sure to spread the love by sharing this with someone in your life that could use a little bit of inspiration today. And until next time, don't be afraid to be a little different.